What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer, and if it sounds like I had a good day, just you can hear that from the timbre of my voice, it's because I did. I just went to the frickin' fun park, everybody. Cherry Hill. It's what fun is everybody know that's the other place. Sorry. I don't know what Cherry Hill's slogan is, but we had a real day, a summer day as a family. We took my nephew, my mother was there, my sister, the whole Facer gang went to Cherry Hill, had a great day. So that's why we're recording today a little bit late. It's 8:42 on August 6th, 2025. Ooh, and I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you can feel it in your bones, but there's more issues afloat. There's trademark issues going around. It never ends with these trademark disputes. I picked the wrong industry to be in. I don't even know if you can call this an industry, the podcast world. I should have been a trademark attorney specializing in hockey-related litigation, because you would have cleaned up in this market over the last year and change. I'll get more into that in just a second. But hey, you're listening to SLC Puck. It's your twice weekly podcast on the hockey happenings within the Beehive State. It's an independent media platform. We appreciate our good friends at KSL.com for hosting us when it's newsworthy, when it's buzzy. Maybe we have something for them today. But in any case, appreciate you guys liking, commenting, subscribing. That means the world to me. If you like what you hear, and I'm hoping you do, please consider subscribing to the show on YouTube. What does that cost you? Nothing to do, and it means a lot to me, so just do it. Follow me at SLC Puck, and if you really want to take your fanhood of this incredible production, which I do in my mother's basement, to another level, you can support the show by going to bigtuskenergy.com. By the way, speaking of trademark and hockey related litigation within the Utah hockey universe, this is all mine, folks. BigTuskEnergy.com. That's my trademark that John Oliver stole for his Moon Mammoth rebrand of the Erie Seawolves. They did some branding that said Big Tusk Energy. And by the time I'm done with John Oliver, I will own Last Week Tonight. I will own a big chunk of that show. I can't wait. That's when the money truck will roll in, folks. For now, if you want to support the show, until we receive the rights from HBO for Last Week Tonight, you can support the show at Big Tusk Energy. But what the heck is Austin talking about? I thought didn't the Utah Hockey Club, now the Utah Mammoth, already go through some trademark issues? Didn't we already take a cooler company to task, the Yeti coolers, and lose? By the way, you guys remember that way back when, right? Before the Utah Mammoth were the Utah Mammoth, we all thought they were going to be the Utah Yeti. And as it turns out, the Yeti Cooler Company, those guys who make $85 tumblers for testosterone, infected men, like guys with too much testosterone, I think we'll say, like the Yeti coolers. And I'll be honest, I've owned a Yeti cooler. They are nice. I like Awala coolers or tumblers a little bit more. I'm not a Stanley guy because it just seems, to me, it seems feminine to have one. But I'm not ignorant to their appeal, but again, I like the Awala one because it has the built-in straw, which is nice. And I think it kind of provides the same thermodynamic effects as all the others. And so for me, it's the built-in straw that takes it over the top. But again, sorry, I was talking about the Yeti Cooler Company, and trademark issues. Sorry, I go off the rails a little bit, and this is a hockey podcast, folks. Just so you know, we'll get back on track. But it's reported, the story of the week this week, and I'm going to read this on KSL.com. Utah Mammoth owner sues Oregon company amid growing trademark dispute. Holy hell, what's going on with this? It appears, and this article is on KSL.com, written by my good buddy Carter Williams. This is Carter's lead right here. It appears the new name of Utah's NHL franchise has run into a bit of legal drama. Smith Entertainment Group Hockey and Ute, I think that's how you say it, UYE or TE LLC, owners of the Utah Mammoth and the company that helped Smith throughout the trademark process, filed a lawsuit against the Oregon-based hockey equipment bag manufacturer Mammoth Hockey, LLC, in the U.S. District Court of Utah on Friday. The lawsuit claims the two sides have found themselves in a trademark tiff, and they'd like a court referee to break up the Donnybrook. Good writing there, Carter. The Utah Mammoth, quote, this is a quote right here, and the NHL believe strongly that we have the right to use the name Utah Mammoth under federal and state law, and that our use will not harm the defendant or its business in any way, Smith Entertainment Group officials said in a statement to KSL.com. We have taken this action only after careful consideration based on the defendant's position. And I'm just going to continue reading here. Mammoth Hockey, the bag manufacturer, predates Utah's NHL team by a decade. It launched in 2014 following a successful campaign on the business crowdfunding site Kickstarter, and continues to produce large equipment bags primarily geared for hockey players of all skill levels. So they're in a little bit of a Donnybrook, a trademark dispute, as Carter has written. So apparently, lawyer for Mammoth Hockey Bags sent Smith Entertainment Group a letter calling for an immediate cease and desist from promoting the team name, and said it constitutes trademark infringement, false advertising, and unfair competition. The company's concerns stem from its service mark, which is a mix of symbols, words, designed, associated with the trademark. In this case, both sides are associated with mammoth and hockey, right? And the mammoth-shaped logos, which could confuse consumers into thinking the two sides are connected in some way. Such confusion risks the appropriation of the mark's goodwill that Mammoth Hockey has built up in the mark for more than 10 years. It's kind of clunky writing by a lawyer. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mammoth Hockey Bags, because I'll be honest, I'm sorry to say this to the good folks at Mammoth Hockey Bags. I've never heard of you until this week. So I mean, this is probably here. I'll tell you what I suspect is happening. But first, let's take a look at Mammoth Hockey Bags here. I'll pull this up on Puckovision. Mammoth Hockey Bags. So it's a wheeled hockey bag. There's many hockey companies that make a wheeled hockey bag. It kind of looks like a crappy one. It doesn't have the telescopic handle. I don't see a lot of different pockets. It's kind of ugly. I don't love the Mammoth Hockey logo. I'm going to read more about this. So anyway, I guess they just feel like they have like a nice bag made of nice materials. These guys, Eric and Lars, these are the two guys trying to tell Ryan Smith what to do with his NHL team. Let's take a look at how much these hockey bags go for. I bought a hockey bag pretty recently. My one from 15 years ago finally gave up the ghost, and the telescopic handle came out of its chassis, so I had to buy a new hockey bag. What the? $275 for one of these hockey bags? $250 for a non-wheeled? What the heck? This is very expensive for a hockey. I bought a hockey bag on tronhockey.com that was like $80, and it looks just as adequate as these. That's insane. Sold out. Yeah, right. How many suckers they get to buy this bag? This bag for $250, or the player bag for $100. I'll tell you what. Here's what I think is happening. Okay, this is purely my opinion. This is not journalistic in any way. So, I'm allowed to have an opinion in this country. So don't sue me for anything. This is just I know you guys like litigation, so sue me for what is kind of the big question. But it looks like these guys. Yes, it is kind of a fun coincidence for these guys, for our good friends, Eric and Lars. I'm happy for them. I'm sure Mammoth Hockey has never had this much traffic coming to their website, maybe ever. This is a big day for them. Who knows? Maybe they'll sucker a few people from Utah into buying a $250 hockey bag. Who knows? But if I were to just tell you what I think is happening, it seems like this is a little bit of an opportunistic litigation issue. I can't imagine anyone on the planet confusing the Utah Mammoth with Mammoth Hockey. They don't even really have like the great URL. They've got Mammoth-Hockey. Let's see if Mammoth Hockey redirects to See, I don't. That's no one has that. Maybe I should buy that. But I love buying URLs, folks. I do own the URL to bigtuskenergy.com and slcpuck.com. Those are both trademarked, by the way, so no one else can have those. So sucks to suck, everybody. Yeah, I here's what's gonna happen. I think they're gonna like probably have, you know, a little bit of a legal snafu. You know, Mammoth Hockey, good for them. They're getting a lot of traffic to their website. They're probably selling a few bags. I would imagine, perhaps, I don't know, but we could see them maybe settle for an undisclosed amount. They want a little scratcheroo. You know, they're being a bit opportunistic with the situation. Something did fall out of the sky and land right in their laps, and some lawyer was like, you know, we could probably squeeze a little bit of money out of this billionaire who owns an NHL team now. Look at that. It just happens to be their name. They had a bit of good fortune. Good for them. Good for Eric and Lars. Hopefully, if they do come to some sort of agreement that results in a settlement of some kind, I would imagine that's not the goal of the Utah Mammoth. That's probably why they're suing them ahead of time right now to sort of give themselves a legal shield. I didn't go to law school, folks. As I said earlier in the episode, I went to podcasting school, and that has paid off dividends for me. But I imagine they're trying to insulate themselves from you know, being in a situation where they'll have to like cut these guys a significant check or whatever. I think they're maybe getting ahead of it or something. Again, I don't know. Someone who's a lawyer would have to sound out off in the comments for me. But these guys, you know, they got dollar signs in their eyes. I hope if they do get some money, again, it might be an undisclosed amount. I hope they engineer a better hockey bag, or, you know, at least somehow, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not prorate. What's the word for, like, when something funds something else? I don't know. I'll find it. But I hope they use the money to make the bags cheaper. In other words, that word will come to me later. That's annoying. What can I say? I've got chlorine in my brain, guys, from you know, our trip to Cherry Hill. By the way, how disgusting are public pools? By the way, I'll say this: like, the one thing I'm like very happy about that I didn't see at the public pool, and yes, this is still a hockey podcast. Like, thank God they didn't let anybody with like jeans get in the pool, because there to me, there's nothing more heinous than when you see someone in like jeans get in the pool. I swear, I saw this at, like, we went swimming at the South Davis Rec Center, probably, I don't know, a few months ago. Like, and especially to do it indoors feels even more sick for some reason. They bring their germs that they've gotten on their jeans from outside into the sanctity of the indoor pool. It's disgusting. Like, that should be a crime. That should at least be a misdemeanor for something. It's just absolutely disgusting. But again, big thanks to everybody who happened to be at Cherry Hill tonight while we were there for not doing that. Everybody was behaving very well, so we appreciate that. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt all the fun. I just want to remind you about the incredible partnership that SLC Puck has had with Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for quite a while now. Some of you have been listening and haven't been taking advantage of this. I don't know why. I don't know what the heck's wrong with you people. But here's what you got to do. Just scan this QR code right here in the corner. You'll be entered to win a $250 gift card to either one of those stores. Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers is in Trolley Square. Jonathan's Jewelry, that's up in Cottonwood Heights. Awesome places to get some bling, a ring, anything you might need for your significant other or yourself, really. $250 off. That's not nothing either. And guess what? Here's the best part. I really like this part of the deal. You don't even need to win this sweepstakes to participate in our incredible partnership. All you got to do is show up to either one of those spots. Just drop the name SLC Puck, and they'll knock $100 off your purchase. Just like that. It's easy. It's fun. It's how we do it at SLC Puck. And we want to thank Jonathan's Jewelry and Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers for their support of the show and hockey fans in Utah. Now let's get back to the show. And we wish Mammoth Hockey the best in their pursuit of, you know, maybe a pennies from heaven, we'll call it. This is what they got. You know, just something fell in their lap. You know, an advantageous situation. I think they're trying to capitalize on. Again, that's just my opinion. That's what it looks like to me. We'll see how that plays out. I'll tell you one thing that's not going to happen. The Utah Mammoth are not going to change their name at this point. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. We won't stand for that. I mean, we almost burnt the Yeti cooler company to the ground here in Utah. I'm kidding, of course, but we are probably still a primarily Stanley Cup state, I would say, if I were to look around. I'm not, it's not a threat. It's a joke. But I'm just telling you guys at Mammoth Hockey, if you think you can derail, you know, our cool name for our NHL team, you got another thing coming. We are going to buy our hockey bags from every other company on earth, just like everyone else has been doing in the 10 years that you guys have been in business, because again, I've never heard of you. I wish you the best though. I mean, hey, get your bag. You're not getting the name of the team. So anyway, moving on. The other thing that was kind of fun and quirky, and I like these episodes where we kind of can take a break from like breaking down contracts. Maybe we'll do that at the end, because there was kind of an interesting article in The Athletic about contracts that we'll get into. But one thing that I have always valued in my life and on this program, if you've been listening to SLC Puck for a while, you probably have noticed there's like a video game playing behind me in the background. Unfortunately, my PlayStation 2 that I got for like my 9th birthday or whatever finally gave up the ghost, so it's gone. We'll try to find something to replace that in the background. But I had the loading screen to NHL 2001, which is one of my favorite games of all time. NHL Hits 2003 is another fantastic game playing in the background. So I love the video game. EA Sports CHEL. I think EA Sports had a big drop off from what I remember in my childhood. I'm 33. Madden used to be unreal. I would say the college football game is kind of a resurgence for EA Sports. But NHL has kind of always been a consistently great game. Ton of fun to play. I've been buying it for years, and I'm really going to buy it again. I'm really going to buy the heck out of this game this year. I was excited by it last year to see the Utah Hockey Club in digital form, and now we're going to see our Mammoth. Sorry, if Mammoth Hockey Bags thinks they can challenge EA Sports and get them to take it out of the game at this point, they got another thing coming, because the Mammoth were very prominently featured in the trailer for EA Sports NHL 26, and I'll put it right here on the screen just to show you guys. And if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you're missing the benefit of the visual. But let me just show you guys what's happening here. Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers announced as the cover star. Looks like they're going to have a deluxe edition of the game with his brother Brady, plays for the Ottawa Senators. Right there, that's his dad, Big Walt. That's his nickname, Keith Tkachuk. So all the Tkachuk family represented there. Super, super cool. But let's get into this trailer. You're going to see the Utah Mammoth featured heavily in this one. So let me just make sure it's queued up. The volume's not too loud. Here we go.
How do you stand out when excellence is already the...
Oh, we'll start it up again. That's one thing you'll come to love about the show if this is your first time, guys. The authenticity. I'll make errors on the fly.
When excellence is already the entry fee. You make things messy. Color outside the lines a bit, you know? Call it self-expression. Your signature mark on the game. That's what defines the greats. An X factor. It's a quickness no one can catch. Power no one
Game
can
looks
take.
sick, by the way. Hey, there's Ovi's slide.
Edge work that overwhelms.
Quinn Hughes
it's all
there.
part of the unique palette you need to make your presence known.
PWHL, they'll be in the game.
Speed, smart, unrelenting will.
Connor Hellebuck makes a great
motivation and
save.
inspiration that stretches back generations.
All the Tkachuk
And
boys.
fuels
There
the
we
fire
go.
of the next great.
Look at that.
This is your story. You see it?
And the Delta Center goes wild! And Mitch Marner scores on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's hilarious. Okay. Awesome. The game looks great. I mean, I kind of thought this before the game came out last year. I was like, there's no way they're going to have time to do like a proper scan of the Delta Center to get the branding right. They'll get the jerseys on the guys, but as far as everything else in the game, it's not going to be like the complete Utah Hockey Club experience. Now with the full brand, they've got a year under their belt. We can see EA Sports managed to get a complete scan of the Delta Center. That was one thing that kind of stood out to me looking at the game, was it looked like the Delta Center. The sightlines, obviously not great, but that was unmistakably the Delta Center. It looked like they were showing off, the Be a Pro feature. And look, there's my mom sitting right there. My mom's sitting watching the game. Watching me do the show. I accidentally switched to the 2 there. My mom's sitting here watching the show. That's how you know the show is good, guys, because I have a live audience here. But yeah, as you could see, like I really like that Be a Pro mode where you just play as the one character, your version of an NHLer, and you work your way through your career. Looks like they showed off the Mammoth heavily in that feature. Someone named John Smith going 4th overall. You thought it was Caleb Denoye. No, it was John Smith who went 4th overall to the Utah Mammoth and is now scoring one-handed backhanders top shelf at the Delta Center. So super excited for that game. I guess we'll have more information on that. I should get the release date for that. So when that comes out, we'll do a complete look at the game. We'll look at the rankings. I'd like to find a way to implement more of NHL 26 into the podcast. So we'll figure that out. It looks like the game is going to come out. It says that they have the release date here. Yes, September 12th. So that'll be something to look forward to. Circle your calendars there. Save up your money. Go mow your lawn. Look for change in between your couch cushions. Do whatever you got to do to get the game. I think it looks terrific. So again, as I've been doing every year for quite a while, I will be buying this version of NHL 26, and it'll be interesting to see like how the player rankings come up and how Utah's rated against the other teams. If we're as close to the cusp as as we seem to think we are of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Maybe we'll do a season simulation of that. So anyway, if you want to see the Delta Center brought to life in digital form, I'd go ahead and check that out. Let's do one more little quick story here, guys. The Athletic had a really interesting article this week. NHL contract efficiency rankings 2025. Which teams spend their money the most wisely? Now, I heard this guy, this is from The Athletic. I don't want to try to pronounce his name because it looks crazy if you see right here. Dom Lushashinshin. I heard him talking on The Athletic podcast. He broke down his process of evaluating each team's payroll, which contracts are good, which contracts are bad. He obviously didn't go to podcast school, but he's good at podcasting, but he went to like smart kids school, and like is good at math. So I can't explain very well his process here, but I'll just read how he wrote it here. Each player is judged based on total surplus value. More term means more time for value to compound, for better or worse, and the likelihood of the deal being good. Both are based on every player's future trajectory over the life of his contract, which uses player comps to determine his likeliest path forward. And so continuing here, how a player ages and how the cap increases are two of the biggest factors for this exercise. So keep that in mind. Again, the salary cap is supposed to go up considerably in future years. So again, just reading here, which team uses its money most wisely? Number one on the list, the Tampa Bay Lightning, rated an A+ for how their payroll looks and how these contracts are projected to age over time. I think that's a good way of explaining his process. You can see here a couple A+. The Brandon Hagel deal is considered an A+. Nikita Kucherov is still a good deal over the value term of his deal. He's the reigning leading scorer in the National Hockey League. 2 more years on his deal at $9.5 million. We'll scroll down. We don't have to scroll down too far, but just a little far to get to Utah. They're ranked 12th in this exercise. And we'll just take a quick look here at what Dom thinks of their payroll. They're rated as a B+. Last season, they were ranked 7th in the National Hockey League in terms of contract efficiency. They're 12th this year. we can attribute that to a few of the deals being considered subpar. Dom here, and again, Dom L. I'm sorry. If we ever cross paths, please teach me how to say your name. Rated Brandon Tanev's new contract 3 years for $2.5 million AAV, a C-. That's rated as the worst contract on the Utah Mammoth. Nate Schmidt's contract was also down there. Vitek Vanacek. So all three of the new contracts are rated as some of the worst deals on the team. But you know what? I'm gonna just say I don't know if this is true. I don't know if I'm in agreement with this. I know this guy's probably smarter at math than I am. But I'll tell you this. I think sometimes you pay a little bit more for veteran experience. It's just what guys command. They've been in the National Hockey League for longer. You know, they have a certain rate that they're used to, that they expect, that their agents can negotiate for. It's just the way it is. And I think if you're the Utah Mammoth and you have a very young locker room that includes Dylan Gunther, whose contract is rated as an A+, by the way, they think that contract's going to age very, very well for the Utah Mammoth, and they're probably right. Clayton Keller's contract is also rated as an A-. Mikhail Sergachev gets high marks as well for a B+. Karel Vejmelka's deal also gets a B+. So lots of great stuff there around the core components of the team. But again, like the veteran guys are they're gonna command more money, and their skills are probably going to deteriorate or slow down a little bit as they continue to age. So that's what that model is bearing in mind, I'm sure. But again, if you're the Utah Mammoth, you have a young core, you bring in some older guys to push them along, to be the locker room leaders, and I think Bill Armstrong understands that, and I think that explains these deals. And again, they're not long-term solutions. The Utah Mammoth is not building the core of their team around Brandon Tanev, around Nate Schmidt, or around Vitek Vanacek. These guys are just here. They're fillers a little bit, but they're here to make an impact, to squeeze another paycheck out of their careers, and to be leaders on a young team that has a lot of upside. And I think they're going to help win a lot of games for the Utah Mammoth. I hope they do. So that'll be a lot of fun if we see it go the way we hope it will. Maybe we'll simulate NHL 26 to see how that goes. One thing we won't be doing, we won't be buying Mammoth hockey bags because, one, I don't need one, and two, I wouldn't pay $250 for one. So thank you guys for tuning into the show. SLC Puck marches on through the dog days of summer. Episode 132, isn't that great? You can follow me on SLC Puck on all the platforms, at SLC Puck on all the platforms, slcpuck.com. Thank you to our good friends at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry for their support. They've been incredible partners throughout the summer and throughout the last part of last season, so really appreciate them. And get out to a pool and make sure you wash yourself off really good when you get home, because they're disgusting. We'll talk to you guys later.